You can talk about Peter Street too. You can talk about.
It's like these.
Yeah, like
you can talk about Edgewood, Peter Street.
Her family, they be running around. She run around her little. She got a high ponytail, and she just be running in the morning. And I'm like, oh, hello guys.
So y'all see indication of like gentrification when y'all go home?
Yes, of course.
Right now it's like displacement.
Well, in my case, gentrification.
So it's just the same place everywhere. Like you know how like this area is really accessible to downtown.
I got some articles on. You guys want it? I just wrote a.
No, I want to hear your experience.
Yeah, in Atlanta.
On gentrification,
I want to hear your experience. Like what?
No,
does it
so
look
yeah,
like?
so like the way that it goes.
I can't look at it
right now. It's less of like privatized corporations and more of like white people who see that this is gonna be profitable and they're like buying these houses from people and then rapping the prices, pushing out black people.
And then the white people that figure, oh, it's an urban, cool area, I'm gonna live there, right?
But black people, and that's I'm writing people on this now. But black people crime is going up in these neighborhoods. And as a form, to me, it's a form of resistance because I'm not fucking with y'all in these fucking walking y'all's dogs and pushing your kids in the stroller. We don't do that shit.
So it's fine,
right?
What?
Does that make it fine? Though?
Doesn't make crime fine, but resistance is resistance.
Would you call it resistance or like?
Yeah, I call a lot of these.
You know how some people get put in certain margins and then they do act out, but
that's
act out.
But no, we're not gonna do that. Let me explain.
Oh, okay.
When you say resistance, it's like for them in their minds, like, oh yeah, you white, you can't be walking your dog out here, I rob you. But for me, it's like niggas, they need to eat, and I'm gonna rob you. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's not what I was saying. The crime rate isn't. The crime rate is growing up, but the victimization of white people is not. So like because of white people, it feels less like the hood. Like in the hood back home, it was very communal. So like everybody knew each other type shit. You know, your grandma lived on the corner type shit. So you didn't shoot in the hood. Now it's less communal. White people are moving in, so there's social disorganization, which is a theory in sociology. I'm just not saying stuff, you know. So if you're gonna rebut it, you might as well.
Basically, like we don't.
So you gonna flame me?
Gentrification is the buying and selling of homes and stores and properties in urban communities that push and force the poor out and allow the rich or wealthy to come and occupy a space that was already occupied.
Why don't y'all take a look at that sign up there? See what it says? Cash for your home. You know what that is? It's billboard. What are y'all, Amos and Andy? Are you stepping and he's fetching? I'm talking about the message, what it stands for. It's called gentrification. It's what happens when the property value of a certain area is brought down. Huh? You listening? Yeah. They bring the property value down. They can buy the land at a lower price. Then they move all the people out, raise the property value, and sell it at a profit. Now what we need to do is we need to keep everything in our neighborhood, everything, black. Black owned with black money. Just like the Jews, the Italians, the Mexicans, and the Koreans do.
Ain't nobody from outside bringing down the property value. It's these folk shooting each other and selling that crack rock and shit.
Well, how you think the crack rock gets into the country? We don't own any planes. We don't own no ships. But we are not the people who are flying and floating that shit in here. I know every time you turn on the TV, that's what you see. Black people selling the rock, pushing the rock, pushing the rock. Yeah, I know. But that wasn't a problem as long as it was here. It wasn't a problem until it was in Iowa and it showed up on Wall Street where there are hardly any black people. Now, if you want to talk about guns, why is it that there's a gun shop on almost every corner in this community?
Why?
Tell you why. For the same reason that there's a liquor store on almost every corner in the black community. Why? They want us to kill ourselves. You go out to Beverly Hills, you don't see that shit. But they want us to kill ourselves. Yeah, the best way you can destroy a people, you take away their ability to reproduce themselves. Yeah. Who is it that's dying out here on these streets every night? Y'all.
Yeah.
Young brothers like yourselves.
What am I supposed to do? Fool roll up, try to smoke me? I'm gonna shoot the motherfucker if he don't kill me first.
You're doing exactly what they want you to do. You have to think, young brother, about your future.
Antioch Baptist Church North, and the project across the street was Herndon Homes. And so our basketball team would play on Saturdays, and we had practice like, Wednesday, Thursday nights. And most of the folks on our team would be from Herndon Homes. And so through the church, through the basketball team, the people, the kids and their families, the one that would come to church, and we felt like that was a good way to help bring up that area. That projects. Then when they shut down the community, the projects, the housing, all those folks just went to live in other places, just like other like actual apartments and stuff. But it doesn't really, because they was like Herndon homes and projects around Atlanta was just crime dens, but the crime's still gonna go on in the other places. It's just that the city of Atlanta decided to close those down to take the land, because Herndon Homes is right down the street from Georgia Dome. So that's 9 times out of 10 either gonna be a parking lot or something else to help benefit that market, that industry. And it's just gonna be just like East Atlanta, East Atlanta used to be the slums, and it was, I guess, people would think it was bad because it was crime, but it's gonna be crime anyway. It's just now that you have displaced all these people who have been living here for generations and generations, and just don't really bang.
We are here, but I don't think we're noticed. This makes me very sad, because believe it or not, this is how it used to be. Yeah, it's not like that anymore. They used to say that, this place was a shithole, and they were always demanding and wanting here to improve. Why does it take, hipsters? Now you kind of have like policemen on bikes sipping coffee or tea and whatever. But a few years back, I remember I was in secondary school and I read an article and it said places not to raise your kids, and Hackney was considered one of them. I wonder who wrote that. How do you think of Hackney now? Would you raise your kids here?
In my neighborhood, gentrification has started to take its toll. I actually have a newly white neighbor who had her house completely gutted out and everything's redone nice. But the problem is that the rest of the neighborhood, their property tax doesn't match hers, and our property value doesn't match hers, so our cost of living is going to go up because of what she did. So eventually, as that continues to happen, a lot of people that were just able to make minimum payments and just barely get by are going to be pushed out because they're not going to be able to afford to live in a home that they've been living in and paying off for, some cases, 30 years. So they're going to have to move out, and more people, probably white, are going to move in, gut the houses out, and begin to occupy an area that was already occupied.
This white woman, she just kind of is running around, and she has her high pony, and she's just walking her dog oh my God, hey guys, and she in the morning hey, stop talking to me, it's early in the morning, I'm not trying to talk to you like that right now. And it's just they're just kind of moving, and they kind of live on the little back street around there, but they just run around the neighborhood. So do you even know where you at? Do you realize that a smooth, even 5 years ago, you might have got your shit robbed for this, but it's all fine now because the neighborhood's going up, right? It's just it's just sad. All my folks getting moved up out the neighborhood because they can't afford to live in their houses no more, but all the other folks moving in because they moving back into their neighborhood. I guess they were there originally first, or whatever, but they left because we started moving in, we being black people, and now they want to reclaim their neighborhood. Well, y'all left, and now these houses are being lived in, but now y'all want to go and be what they call them, not conquistador, like urban something, basically saying like they just found this new land, like this new hip urban edgy neighborhood. Like, nah, it's not hip, it's not now, it's not new. This the hood where people been living for a long time, and y'all folks just trying to retake it. That's not all right.
I think that it's funny to see how, like, where I come from a very conservative white, not neighborhood, but city. So I guess I just never knew what gentrification looked like per se, but when I came to Atlanta and saw like the West End and everything else and started doing community organizing work around the AUC and the West End, it gave me a better understanding of what gentrification looks like. So to see so many people, like you said, so many white people, hipsters, big businesses try to come in and not only like gentrify the West End, but even begin to take over the AUC. And a lot of us don't recognize that. It kind of takes not a toll, but like it kind of opens your eyes to a lot of things, like to see Morris Brown just randomly get burned down and then have to sell most of the land in order to even regain the right to be a school, and then to see Spelman and Morehouse and Clark Atlanta receive grants from these big businesses to revitalize the West End. It shows you that not only are these large corporations and these hipsters willing to gentrify our neighborhoods, but they're also willing to use us as the face of, or as the driving force behind the gentrification to ensure that we are okay with it. And it reminds me of how America was even settled, how white people, Europeans, came over, and I feel like they offered the same thing that they're offering us now, this idea of a safe haven and this idea of safety, while scheming and thinking of ways to remove us from our space and erase us from the conversation and ignore us until we're no longer in our spaces. And that is the toll that gentrification takes on black areas. Gentrification has kicked out a lot of black members in black and urban areas from their homes, from their stores, from their jobs. And so it's important that now that we no longer have, or that we not only have these conversations, but that we have action backing up these conversations. And so that looks like us supporting black businesses and making sure that we support our cities and make sure that we support our areas as black people, ensuring that we not only keep our money black, that we not only keep our stores and our homes black, but that we understand, that we educate ourselves on what gentrification looks like, and making sure that we don't allow for other members of other communities to come in and take over our communities and remove us from where we belong. It's important that we don't allow white people and bigger businesses to erase us from the narratives and to erase our culture and our space. And so because of that, it's important that we take action on gentrification, ensuring that our spaces and our places and our businesses and our homes are ours and they remain ours, and that no one takes them over.